We live in an era of unmatched freedom, sexual, emotional, and relational. The old structures that once bound men and women together, for better or worse, have eroded. Marriage is no longer a moral imperative. Dating is digital. Love is on demand. And yet, amidst this liberation, something unexpected has emerged, a profound crisis of trust. Men don't trust women, women don't trust men, and most don't even trust themselves. What happened? What changed? Why does love, once idealized as sacred, now seem strategic, cautious, even disposable? Why do vulnerability and suspicion now coexist in every modern relationship? To understand this, we must look beneath the surface, into the minds, the philosophies, and the shifting foundations of the modern world. This is a story not just of men and women, but of trust itself and how we've lost it. Trust, then and now. In the past, trust in romantic relationships was scaffolded by external structures: religion, family, duty, scarcity. A man and a woman entered a union because the world gave them no other option. Divorce was scandal. Promiscuity was shame. Loyalty wasn't always chosen, it was enforced. But today, those structures have collapsed. We now stand in what sociologist Zygmunt Bauman calls a liquid society, a world where nothing holds shape for long. Commitments are fluid, promises are temporary. The individual reigns supreme. Freedom has replaced obligation. But with that freedom came a terrifying realization. The only thing keeping someone by your side is their desire to stay. No God to guilt them. No law to stop them. No shame to silence them. So we learn to protect ourselves. We learn to guard our hearts, filter our messages, screenshot receipts. We learn to distrust, not because we are evil, but because we are afraid. Second, Schopenhauer's warning and the fear of the other. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, in his bleak but honest view of human nature, warned that love was never truly about connection. It was about survival of the species. He described men and women as driven by blind instincts disguised as romance. The will to life, he said, made us mate, not out of love, but out of an unconscious drive to reproduce ideal offspring. In this view, trust was never the point. Illusion was. But Schopenhauer's insight reveals something more. We have always misunderstood each other. Men saw women as mysterious and manipulative. Women saw men as dominant and unfaithful. We projected onto each other what we wanted or feared to believe. Modernity has only intensified this. Social media turned individuals into brands. Dating apps turned affection into algorithms. Image replaced substance. And behind every smiling selfie, every curated profile hides a silent question. Can I really trust you? And often the answer is, I don't know. 3. The crisis of masculinity and the collapse of roles. The feminist movement, rightfully, challenged outdated gender roles. Women no longer had to be wives, mothers, or caretakers unless they wanted to. They entered the workforce, gained independence, and redefined identity. But as philosopher Camille Paglia often points out, while women were rewriting their scripts, men were left without one. Masculinity, once defined by provision and protection, became unclear. In a world where women can earn, lead, and live alone, what is a man for? This created what some call the crisis of masculine identity. And with it came insecurity. When a man feels unsure of his value, he becomes cautious, sometimes hostile. Distrust becomes his armor. He fears being used, discarded, emasculated, and rather than admit this vulnerability, he hides behind cynicism, detachment, or shallow conquest. He no longer trusts love because love no longer affirms his worth. And the irony, women often feel the same. Evil. Women, hyper-independence, and emotional risk. Many modern women have been taught, explicitly or implicitly, that trusting a man is a risk. Trauma, media, and cultural narratives often reinforce the idea that men are unreliable, unfaithful, or emotionally unavailable. So, the modern woman, seeking safety, builds a fortress, independence. She succeeds, she earns, she sets high standards. But in the process, she often silences her own longing for intimacy. This isn't weakness, it's adaptation. But it can lead to another form of distrust, not just of men, but of her own emotions. She fears being too needy, too soft, or too trusting. She fears falling for a lie, so she filters, tests, and sometimes sabotages just to feel in control. Both genders, then, are engaged in a cold war of intimacy. Men afraid of irrelevance or betrayal. Women afraid of deception or disappointment. And trust, the very soil where love should grow, remains barren. Digital intimacy and the illusion of connection. Technology has reshaped how we love. We swipe, scroll, double tap. We send heart emojis instead of opening our hearts. We connect more than ever, but at a distance. Digital intimacy is easier. It feels safer. You can flirt without risk, ghost without guilt, and start over instantly. But this ease comes with a price. It bypasses the emotional labor that real trust requires. In person, trust is built through time, vulnerability, presence. Online, trust is based on presentation, performance, perception. This creates what Baudrillard might call a simulacrum of love, a copy of connection that feels real but lacks depth. We believe what we see, not because it's true, but because we've forgotten what real intimacy looks like. And so we enter relationships with our guards up. We assume betrayal. We prepare for disappointment. We date not with hope, but with caution. And that caution poisons what could have been real. Biology, psychology, and the chemistry of doubt. Trust isn't just emotional, it's chemical. When we feel safe with someone, our brain releases oxytocin, a hormone linked to bonding and attachment. But high levels of cortisol, stress, or past trauma can block that response. Many people today are emotionally exhausted. They've been hurt, ghosted, lied to, or left unread. Their nervous systems are on high alert. They want to trust, but their bodies won't let them. This isn't weakness, it's neurology. Our ability to trust is not just a choice, it's a nervous system response. And in a society flooded with betrayal, ambiguity, and superficiality, our bodies have adapted to protect us. But in protecting ourselves, we often destroy our chance at love. 7. Can trust be rebuilt? Yes, but not easily. Rebuilding trust requires more than open communication. It requires a new cultural script, one that doesn't pit men and women against each other, but helps them understand each other. We must stop viewing love as transaction or competition. We must recognize that behind the walls of pride and fear, most people are lonely and longing. We must stop trying to outplay each other and start trying to see each other. This is not idealism, this is human repair. And it begins when we stop asking, how do I protect myself from betrayal? And start asking, how do I become someone trustworthy and attract the same? 8. Conclusion. The return to something real. We have lost trust not because we are bad people, but because we have been hurt, repeatedly, collectively, culturally. We live in a time of abundance, but also of emptiness. We have endless choices, but little certainty. We know how to seduce, but not how to stay. And so, love has become a game of illusions, guarded, strategic, lonely. But it doesn't have to be. Trust, like love, is a risk, but it's also a rebellion, a refusal to let fear write our story. And maybe the real revolution isn't swearing off men or women forever. Maybe it's becoming so real, so honest, and so present that the liquid world around us has no choice but to solidify, for just long enough to hold something true,